you're recording this, huh?
Correct, yeah. And it'll be audio. So I appreciate the fact that you put on pants, but this will be audio only.
I don't have pants on.
Okay. That's even better then. Now the party's already started. Yo, welcome to My Summer Lair. I'm your host, Sammy, yada, 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 Younan. I went with yada, yada, yada as a Seinfeld catchphrase. There's so many to choose from. It was really difficult. Okay, pull up John O'Hurley's IMDb, and you'll see he's done so much work. A lot of it TV. Work that you know and enjoy. He voiced King Neptune on SpongeBob SquarePants. Lots of animation work, actually, including Powerpuff Girls. Shout out to the Powerpuff Girls. John hosted Family Feud for almost 5 years. As a dramatic actor or comedic actor, you've seen him on The Mentalist, X-Files, Murder, She Wrote, Melrose Place, the old school one from the 90s, Mad About You, and Frasier. Oh, Frasier, remember that first episode of season 2? John played Thomas J. Fallow. He'd written a really spicy book, Slow Tango in South Seattle. That was about, Frasier's first time. Excellent Frasier episode. The ending is just fantastic. Fantastic. However, you best know John O'Hurley from Seinfeld, where he played J. Peterman, a fictionalized version of the real-life catalog company entrepreneur John Peterman from 1995 until the show's end in 1998. It's hard to believe Seinfeld ended in 98. It still feels relevant somehow. John as J. Peterman debuted in The Understudy, the episode where Bette Midler is injured in a charity softball game. Remember that? And Kramer takes care of her. And Jerry's girlfriend, the understudy, she cries over everything. She was so annoying. John as J. Peterman is in the Secret Code episode. This is now season 7. This is George's ATM code is Bosco. Remember this? Yo, it was so good. George tells this to J. Peterman's mom, thinking that she's on her deathbed. And another season 7 episode, The Showerhead. This episode is wall-to-wall jokes. You don't need to be a miner to know it's all gold. Jerry's apartment building has new low-flow showerheads installed, so Jerry, Kramer, and yes, even Newman are walking around with flattened hair. That's amazing. The B plot is Elaine is testing positive for opium. And her boss, J. Peterman, is disappointed to learn that his employee is a junkie.
I'm afraid I have some bad news, Elaine.
It appears you will not be accompanying me to Africa.
Why not?
I'm afraid it's your urine, Elaine. You've tested positive for opium. That's right, Elaine. White Lotus. Yum, yum. Shanghai Sally.
Stuff is amazing. J. Peterman was known for these rambling yet endearing Hemingway-esque monologues, and if you stay to the end of my conversation with John, he delivers one from the show as J. Peterman. I mean, yo, what a treat to do this podcast. I'm so blessed. You set off to do a podcast, and you're like, oh man, it'd be cool to talk to some people, talk to them about their movies, their work, whatever it may be. You don't expect to get a J. Peterman monologue in the middle of a conversation. Fantastic. John also performs in Broadway shows like Chicago. He's gone on tour performing a show called A Man with Standards, where he sings and performs a number of classic songs. I was curious about that, if the timing in music mirrors the timing in comedy. I asked him about that. Anyways, I'm rambling on like J. Peterman, and Stephanie's rolling her eyes like Elaine does when her boss launches into one of those monologues. Okay, I get the hint. Stephanie, the mic is yours.
Sound, the final frontier. My Summer Lair is an enterprise, a pop culture voyage with a continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new creators and celebrate established producers, to boldly go where no podcast has gone before. And now here is your host, Sammy Younan.
You've done 20 episodes of Seinfeld as J. Peterman. When fans see you at the airport or like they come up to you at conventions like Fan Expo, what are some of the phrases or the moments they yell out or they're all excited to talk to you about?
They scream two things from across the side of across the airport. They'll scream, "Hey, Peterman!" or If they're closer, they'll come in and go, Elaine?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, yeah. So you've done lots of TV, from Murder, She Wrote to Frasier, of course, Slow Tango in South Seattle, to X-Files. Was Seinfeld just another TV gig, or did you recognize Jay Peterman was something special almost from like day one?
Well, I'll give you the story of how it all happened. I had my own sitcom on ABC at the time called A Whole New Ballgame.
Mm-hmm.
Very funny show, but it was very much like it was one of those set up joke type of shows. And we got canceled on a Tuesday morning, and I went out to dinner that night with my manager, crying in my beer, trying to take the cancellation as personally as I possibly could. And Larry David's office called, and they said, we heard John's show got canceled. Would he be interested in coming over to Seinfeld? We have this guest star role that we've been trying to cast, and he'd be perfect for it. And so I told my manager, no. I just said, just tell him I'm grateful for the offer, but I'm still licking my wounds over the cancellation of my own show. And so that was the way it was left. The following morning, I get a call from my manager, and he said, I never called them and told them, so they're waiting for you at 10:30. You better be over there for the table reading.
Good manager.
Well, God bless him. God bless him for doing that, because that was the opening of the door for me for many great, great things. But I have to tell you, after the initial table reading, I called him and I said, this is the number one show on television. I said, it's not funny.
Yeah.
And what I was reacting to was my own sense of stylized humor that I had, learned through the years and years of sitcoms that I had done. And Seinfeld was different. Seinfeld didn't read funny.
Mm-hmm.
It played funny. If you played the scenes as a high drama, then the show became hysterical because you were getting upset over nothing.
Yeah.
Every character was mediocre and mean as a snake.
Mm-hmm.
We would have sold each other out at any one moment, but everything had to be played as a high stakes drama, or the humor didn't carry out.
That worked for your character too, like Jay Peterman. Like, he had no self-awareness. He was just going to tell his stories and his, like, where the jacket or where the pants came from, and off he went. Like, Elaine spent a lot of time just rolling her eyes.
Rolling her eyes. That was all she had to do to define her character, was roll her eyes going, oh, no. And it was, he was the romantic white poet warlord in the neighborhood. And and as he was described, and a lunatic, I mean, just a legend in his own mind.
So you're saying when you get a script and it has like Yam Yam or Shanghai Sally, right? when Jay Peterman believed that Elaine was on opium, like, none of that cracks you up? You can just do it straightforward?
No. I tell you, my friend, I had to do everything I could to bite the inside of my cheeks, because as I was delivering these ponderous Jay Peterman monologues, just trying to get through them and also look at her straight in the eye and have her not go, was all that we could do. And I do see moments when I go back and watch the reruns, and I can see the corner of my lip going up, and I go, oh gosh, they cut just in time.
Yeah. You are also a musician. You've done a lot of Broadway, like you sing standards. Is the timing that comedy requires, is that the same thing as in music? Or is that kind of different ebbs and flows?
Oh, no, it's the same thing. When you call it timing is a percussive response to and a reaction to a measured response. So it's basically you determine when you feel that golden moment is to respond. Now, that's the same thing in music. The beat of the song has a built-in sense of timing to it. Yeah, so it's all, yes, it is. The quick answer to your question, yes, it is all the same. If you have a sensitivity for both, it's like I will sometimes describe timing as breathing in, stopping, and knowing when to deliver. So if I go, no, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Just because whatever occurred to me, you saw the thought process, and it occurred to me that at one point, no.
And did you ever get to improvise with Julia Louis-Dreyfus as like J. Peterman as you went back and forth?
The rule was this. The rehearsal period was for the improv and the improvement on the script and the character and the lines. When we got time for Tuesday night to roll around and the cameras were added in, it was lockdown time. And that comedy really is a measured thing. The words were chosen carefully, and that was all as a result of a week's worth of rehearsal process. So to say we improv'd on the spot, no, it didn't happen. On a drama, you can do that. But in comedy, no, comedy is too closely scripted.
Why does the drama give you more freedom, I guess, because the blocking is in place?
Well, because, unless you're Shakespeare, the words aren't sacrosanct. You can fudge them a little bit, but, Shakespeare was written in iambic pentameter, so you can't play around with that. But a drama is just easier. You can add in, a line or two or this, or let's try this scene a different way. And let me just say some different things. They'll put that down in case that works. But comedy, it's already been decided on.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned already, like, all the characters on Seinfeld, including the main cast, had no scruples. They were kind of like dark.
No, we were, and remember, the final show was about convicting them of being not nice people.
Mm-hmm.
And they went off to prison for it.
Right.
Yeah. And so, truly, the fun of the show was that we were not nice people. We were dealing with the minuscule micro elements of society, and we were getting upset about everything.
So are you surprised then characters like J. Peterman took off and like connected with the audience? People really like him. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it gave the writers a chance to write in long form, and rather than just single lines. And they would write these ridiculous J. Peterman monologues, and they would be in every show. But unfortunately, they were cut out because the show was always too long.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was easier to just snip the Peterman monologue than it was it didn't change the plot. All it did was take away some of the icing on the cake, if you will.
Because you already know what Peterman's all about, right? Like once he kind of starts launching, right? Like into those monologues. Yeah. It's a Elaine thing all over again, right? We're like,
some of them, they kept some of them in, but most of them got taken out because they were too long. But I remember them.
Can you remember one right now?
Sure. There's one where I was giving Elaine some unwelcome advice when I mistakenly thought that she was having an office romance with a guy named Bob. And I told her that, this was Rob Schneider, by the way, playing Bob. So I decided I was going to play Cupid, and I walk into her office late one afternoon, and I slap down 2 tickets to the Karamazov Brothers Circus. And I tell her that she and Bob can knock off a little early to get ready. Well, she looks at me as though I had grown a second head, and she said, "Bob?" And I said, "Elaine, don't worry. I, too, am no stranger to love on the clock. As a young lad, my father apprenticed me to a honey factory in Belize. The chief beekeeper was this horrible hag of a woman with gnarled teeth and a giant wart that she called a nose. She was not attractive, even by backward standards. But love is truly blind, Elaine, and as the days went on, working closer and closer together, that sweet smell of honey in the air, I knew I had to have that horrible creature. And I did. So you and Bob, have a good time tonight."
Amazing. High five. So I'll have to totally give you a high five when you come for Fan Expo in Toronto.
Looking forward to it.
But thank you so much, John, for like hanging out. Thank you for the zany seriousness of J. Peterman and as many other roles as well. As I mentioned, Frasier and X-Files and Murder, She Wrote. You've had a fantastic career. So plus all the Broadway.
I've been very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have a lot of fun in Toronto. 21st through 25th, I believe, we'll be there downtown at the city center there. I think it's going to be a great time. And it's going to be a Seinfeld reunion. I've got Putty coming. Soup Nazi's going to be there. Jackie Childs is going to be there.
He was fantastic, too, on the show.
Yeah, Putty is going to be there. And Wayne Knight will be there as well. So it's a chance. It's the first time that all of us have been together ever, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go. That's the plug right there. Thank you so much, John. And look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, well, thank you, my friend.
Yo, that was actor John O'Hurley, best known as Jay Peterman, Elaine's boss on Seinfeld. I'm Sammy, best known as the host of My Summer Lair. You can watch Seinfeld on Netflix. To prepare for this interview with John, I sat down and watched only his Jay Peterman episodes. And I gotta admit, that surprised me. It's a special way to rewatch this classic comedy. Sit down and watch all 20 Jay Peterman episodes. It speaks to why Seinfeld is so good, present tense. John is attending Fan Expo in Toronto along with many other Seinfeld secondary characters like the Soup Nazi and Elaine's boyfriend Puddy. I think his catchphrase was, "That's right." I can't do it. And Kramer's wacky lawyer Jackie, that over-the-top lawyer. It's the first time those distinct secondary characters have all been assembled, which is special. In the interview, John mentioned Newman was going to be there. He was booked, but sadly had to cancel. I mean, what else you expect from Newman? I'm so grateful Fan Expo provided the opportunity to hang out with John, hear about Jay Peterman, and even attend a Fan Expo panel. Just listening to all these distinct secondary characters talk about a classic show. Honestly, this was truly a delightful blast from the past. And it's not the only time I visit the past. I write a weekly pop culture newsletter, My Pal Sammy, and it too is often a blast from the past. We lived through a special time with Seinfeld and Frasier and Cheers and Mad About You and fine, even Friends. I'm not a Friends person. The thing is, often you don't realize you're living in an era until it's over. You didn't realize that was a special time until it was over. So, old school sitcoms used to conclude with a valuable takeaway. What did we learn from this experience? That's what I do with My Pal Sammy. Just what happened here? The pop culture we've consumed has wonderfully shaped us into the individuals we've become. Sign up today, Google My Pal Sammy Substack, My Pal Sammy Substack, or go to mysummerlair.com/subscribe. 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 Thank you so much for listening to me in a Jay Peterman world. Seinfeld, yo.